Hello, I'm Alfred Degrafinreid II, and this is my mAll talk. All right, so I moved to Nashville in 2002 to attend the Tennessee State University for undergraduate school as a presidential academic scholar. And I've been here for 23 years since arriving in Nashville. I've worked on the local, state, and federal levels of government, worked for a lot of elected officials, used to be a political operative, and worked in higher ed at Vanderbilt University, and now I lead Tennessee's premier community leadership program, Leadership Tennessee. I love working at Leadership Tennessee, particularly in the position as president and CEO, because I get to travel across all 95 counties. I get to meet some of the top leaders across the state and expose them to things about the state that they didn't know before. So if you can imagine being in a room with 45 individuals, cross-sector, different backgrounds, coming together to look at the most pressing issues of the state of Tennessee and hopefully try to figure out how to improve those metrics, that's what Leadership Tennessee is about. Okay, so in 2007, I was working on the mayoral campaign, and this gentleman by the name of Senator Barack Obama was in Nashville, and he was trying to make his rounds and meet people in the state of Tennessee. And I just happened to be in the office, and one of the lobbyists called me and said, "Hey, Alfred, meet me at the legislature. And by the way, stop at Walgreens and get one of those disposable cameras." So I said, "What's going on?" He said, "Just get here." So I stopped at Walgreens, picked up the disposable camera. I walked in, and there was U.S. Senator Barack Obama in the speaker's office. And he spent an entire hour giving us his 50-state strategy on how he was going to become the next president of the United States. And I got a picture with him actually where he wasn't taking any more pictures. So that same lobbyist said to me, "This is what I want you to do. I want you to walk outside. I want you to walk down the hallway with him, and I'm going to be like paparazzi. I'm going to be walking backwards and snapping pictures." So on my picture with him, I'm just walking, cheesing, and I see him, he's kind of pointing down the way, but that's my picture with President Barack Obama. Well, I was a student at Tennessee State. I was a student leader on student government, and we had a person running for the U.S. Senate who came to Tennessee State and said, "Hey, I need you to help me turn out the voters." And it was amazing because I was happy to do so, to get people to go and vote, because it's one thing that I really care about. But I never knew that I'd make a career out of it. So my first job out of college, I was actually hired as a college student by Howard Gentry, who was the vice mayor of Nashville at the time. He hired me to work on this campaign for mayor in 2006 and 2007. I'm inspired every day to wake up and to do something significant that can change the lives of others. I love to go out and help others. I love to figure out what makes a person tick. I'm a connector by trade, so I like connecting the dots. If someone says, "Hey, I'm interested in this," I'm gonna go through my Rolodex and say, "Let me connect you with 3 or 4 people who can help you get to where you want to be," because that's what happened with me as a college student, as a high school student, as a professional student. I've been a person who's always reached out to individuals and said, "I like what you're doing. Can I just talk to you for a moment and learn your story?" Well, community leadership programs are very important because it gets people in a room who wouldn't otherwise be in the room together. It allows you to build organic relationships. It allows you to disagree, but have civil discourse. That's something that's missing in today's world in our country. I'll never forget my first conversation with Big Jim Haslam. He said, "Alfred, I don't know you, but I'm happy that you're in this role. But I want to tell you something. You have one of the most important roles in this state. You have the power of bringing people together in a room. Make sure you use this opportunity for good. Make sure you expose people to things they wouldn't see." And that's why community leadership programs are important. My advice for anyone who wants to become involved in Nashville is just to show up. Most of my opportunities have come from me knowing another person or walking in the room and saying, "I'm interested in this. I want to help in this subject," or like I did in college, "I'm interested in politics." Clinton Gray, who is the father of Clinton Gray, who started one of the founders of Slim Huskies, he put me in touch with Mr. Gentry. He said, "Hey, my friend is getting ready to run for mayor. I want you to talk to him. You express your interest in politics." And that's how my political career took off. I started there on a local campaign. I went to the legislature, worked for the Speaker Pro Tem of the House. Then I worked for a state senator. Then I went to law school in Indiana and had the opportunity to lobby for a couple years at the State House. Moved back to Nashville, and then I was hired by Congressman Jim Cooper. I led his community engagement and relations. But all those things go back to that first conversation that I had with someone who said, young man, what do you want to do? And I think Nashville has the type of personality and the culture that if you want to do something, people will love to connect the dots for you if you allow them to. So my advice is be open, allow yourself to be stretched, and work hard, because if you work hard, you can achieve all your goals. Well, if I could have a superpower, it would be to transport somewhere else. I'd love to be able to skip going through TSA and just go in a closet somewhere and end up in Paris, right? But seriously, if I had a superpower, something that I wish were my superpower, it would be helping people realize their goals and helping them follow things through to its logical conclusion. I would say my most proud accomplishment from my professional career was when I worked as the Chief Administrative Officer for the Criminal Court Clerk's Office. So I, along with the other clerks of court, I led the process for us to have electronic filing. But I'm glad that we got the funding, the mayor approved it for us, all of us worked together, and that's what set the tone and prepared them for COVID. Because without that, it would have been a much harder journey during COVID when they pivoted from having people coming into the courthouse. So like sometimes it just takes you to be a part. I was on the National Board for Court Administrators, and I would watch and see what other jurisdictions were doing. I love technology. I love to see how can we streamline our processes and make things work better for our citizens. And that's exactly what we did there. And I can say by far that our office, according to the head of the AOC at the time, we were the #1 clerk's office in the state of Tennessee, because we went into the community to provide justice. We took justice to them. Instead of making them take off work to come to the courthouse, we show up on the weekends, and we provide services. We lead expungements. We clear out records. We change lives. That was a remarkable journey. And I'll add one other thing too. During my time working as counsel for Congressman Cooper, I had the housing portfolio, and I was able to stop a lot of foreclosures from happening, and worked with the Attorney General's office and worked with a lot of other banks and organizations to help people get back on their feet, to give them money so they wouldn't lose their houses. And that was always a great feeling. And I would always say that we're changing lives one house at a time. I don't want to say this because I try to avoid Nordstrom's, because I like to go there too much and I like to spend a lot of money there. But any place that sells Ferragamo, particularly Italian shoes, that's my jam. And another thing I'll say is this. On my first campaign in 2006 or 7, when I was here, I was invited with the vice mayor to the opening of Tiffany & Company. And that was a big deal, and it's still a big deal, because every city in America cannot have a Tiffany & Company. But when Nashville got that Tiffany & Company, that let the world know, okay, if you can handle that, you can handle all the other places. So it's been a remarkable journey to see how the mall at Green Hills transformed from the early 2000s to what it is today. And it's my #1 mall in the state.